Hi, folks. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the PagerDuty Twitch channel. I'm Mandi Walls, DevOps Advocate here at PagerDuty. Thank you for joining us today for this fourth in our series for Women's History Month. Today, I'm talking to a panel of women in security, and I'm really excited about this. So if you're new to our channel, make sure you follow us. Just click that button to follow down below on Twitch. If you're joining us on Twitter, give us a like on that tweet so we know you're out there. If you have any comments or you want to chat with us, you want to join us on Twitch for that, and we'll see your comments there. If you're joining us later on YouTube, that's great too. Hit those comments and like and subscribe to our channel so that we can keep you up with all the things that we're doing. So let's get down to it. Ladies, thank you for joining me today. I just want to have you introduce yourselves. Tell us about what you're currently doing, how you got to where you're at now in security, and we'll just go around the screen as I see you. So Priscilla, how about we start with you?
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Priscilla Aubrey. I'm currently a security and trust architect at GitHub, and I'm on the customer security and trust team. So we are the customer facing team that serves as the voice of the CISO here at GitHub. We serve as subject matter experts for the security posture for GitHub in terms of customer facing conversation. So we're the person that's going to get that information and provide a bit of empathy back to the customer in terms of what things are going on, as if it's an incident, anything of that nature. Like, we all lived through Log4j. We were super busy with that, things of that nature. And so how did I get into security? Gosh, I've lived many lives. So no, my first experience with security was when I was in the Army. I was a signal warrant officer for several years. So that was my first experience with security, but it's grown. But at that time, it was just making sure that my servers, the admin password wasn't password 1234 bang. So that's how it started. But when I left the Army and I became a Department of the Army civilian, I was working in a battle simulation center. Coolest job I've ever had, other than but it was super cool. We got to play with all the toys. However, the facility wasn't accredited. And I didn't know what any of this information was, authority to operate and all of those things. They're looking for all these artifacts and this long list of IA controls. And I had no idea. And no one else had any idea. And so I said, I'll do it. I'll do it. And that started my relationship with security and information assurance, because I think it all kind of ties in together. And then from there, I worked in another role and within the Department of the Army. About the role that I'm in now is that I was on the backside. So all of this paperwork and these policies and stuff, it was very robotic, right? I'm looking at all of the artifacts, the diagrams, and all of these requests that are coming in. And there was really, I really wasn't accounting for the individual on the back end of all of that information, right? And so looking back, I can see where, in some customer calls, I probably could have used a little bit more of who I am right now, because I've had an opportunity, because I've gone through, I actually left security for a little bit, and I was on the customer success side. And so I worked with revenue. And so when you're in those roles, okay, you're dealing with customers in and out. So those requests, the meaning is a little bit different because there's a person, there's an issue, there's a concern associated with all of those security requests now. So now I'm back on the customer facing side of security. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I actually love it because I feel like I've come almost full circle from looking at the information to now, okay, well, I understand why you're asking that question. I understand what you're trying to get at. And you're probably like, why did I start with her? I'm super chatty.
That's why you're here. Okay, keep it going, right? Yes, absolutely. That sounds awesome. That's a super interesting background. So thanks for sharing that. Sarah, how about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Sarah Gori. I'm currently a cloud security consultant at ScaleSec. We do consultancy work in many different sectors where we support our clients and their security goals in the cloud, whether it's compliance or whether we're going to, show them how to automate problems that they're looking to solve from a security perspective. I've helped smaller companies launch holistic security programs in terms of how we're going to do security in the cloud. It's really full spectrum, which has been just a whole lot of fun. I've been in cybersecurity for about 15 years now, my whole career. So I got into security, my first job out of college. I joined a Fortune 10 company's incident response team right when they were starting to build it back in about 2007. And so I was one of their first hires as a junior SOC analyst. And, I didn't know much about security then at that point, but learning about, attackers and the fact that we have to defend against them and, what the state of compromises were within a company, it just wowed me. Like I knew I wanted to get into IT, but to know that not only could I be in IT and get to do the technical things I was hoping to do after college, but I got to deal with this really cool and interesting problem of defending against the bad guys and like stopping them from doing bad just felt like it had, even more purpose than going into IT. And so it was, in my early 20s, it was like this really surprising, fulfilling idea for what I could do for a career. And I knew at that moment that like that was what I wanted to do. Not necessarily incident response the whole time. I did that for the first 3 or 4 years of my career, but just solving those problems, which has been kind of a theme for me because security continues to change, how attackers continue to do things, new technologies come out. And so, you're constantly learning and having to adjust what you do and, change your assumptions and your notions of how things should be done in order to do security well. And I love that. So I've really enjoyed it. So yeah, so I started in incident response, and after a couple years there, I learned that I was really good at kind of explaining how incidents happened and why they happened. And so I got more into briefing root cause analysis for incidents and started asking, well, if we saw that this compromise happened here, are we fixing this problem across our enterprise? And that kind of brought me up into focusing on how we fix the problems that are revealed through incident response. And that kind of led me into security architecture. And even though, I'm doing consulting now and all of it really feels to me like some level of security architecture where, you're trying to drive change, help improve practices, how we're doing things, doing it against requirements, control frameworks, standards, all of that has just, so, I would say the last 10 years have been in the security architecture space, and the last 7 or 8 have been within cloud. And it's just been incredibly fun. I'm very happy with this field. So yeah,
awesome.
That's me.
That sounds fantastic too. Neha, thanks for joining us today. What's your story?
Yeah, so my path into security has had a lot of unexpected twists and turns. So I went to undergrad at Northwestern, and I was studying medicine. Well, basically, I was studying genetics and molecular biology and integrated science. Like I was a big science nerd, and my plan was to go to medical school. So after I completed my undergrad, I went to naturopathic medical school, which is another 4-year degree. And after that, I moved to the Bay Area, and then I passed my board exams and I got licensed for the state of California. And while I was I was newly immersed in this area of tech, because the Bay Area is like surrounded by tech companies. Yeah. So while I was looking around for a job as a naturopathic doctor, I was also kind of intrigued by tech. And so I looked into some software engineering boot camps, and I found one in particular that I really liked their mission. It was an all-women's boot camp called HackBright. And so, yeah, I ended up going to HackBright. It was a 3-month full-time program, and they taught me to the basics of software engineering and computer science. And just like, basically I got the knowledge that I needed to just be able to interview for software engineering positions. So I interviewed at PagerDuty, and I interviewed at PagerDuty for there's an internship program that we have called the Career Accelerator Program, CAP program. And so they place you on a team based on, kind of based on like what teams are available, and also a little bit based on like if you express like a preference or if you have a background in a certain area. So I didn't have a background in anything related to any of the teams because I had a medical background. But I did express interest in front end work. And so it's hilarious because I got placed on security, and I think I'm not, it's like as far away from front end as possible probably. But 4 months after my internship, I converted to full-time, and I stayed on the security team. And 3 years later, here I am still on security. I'm a security engineer on the security team. We kind of have sub teams, subspecialties. So I'm on the product side. There's also an infrastructure security team. And we deal with securing our cloud infrastructure, helping to secure our product, working with the other engineering teams to help secure our product, with like design reviews and things like that, vulnerability management, secrets management. My area is more secrets management. That's recently where I've kind of focused most of my time and kind of specialized in. And then we also have a compliance team. So when I first joined, we didn't have that. And so we had to the security team also had to deal with like answering customer questions and like vendor risk questions and things like that, which was my least favorite part of the job. But we have a compliance team now, so thankfully they handle all of that. So I can focus more on like coding and like building stuff out. And that's me.
Awesome. And Tanisha, your fan club is already in the audience out there, just so you know. So tell us about what you've done.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tanisha Turner. I'm a senior QA engineer at Elastic. I work in Elastic Security Department, senior engineering and productivity team. Yay, Elastic Security. So I just had to say that, give a shout out to my peeps who are probably joining now. But my journey into security was actually one that was actually by hobby initially. I mean, it was initially accidentally, to be honest. Well, I started doing computer programming and taking some computer programming classes. And then I got into Linux, and I started and then when I got into Linux, I started doing file encryption and doing OpenSSL. At the time, I did not know that was security. And of course, now I do know that it was security, but at the time we didn't know that it was security. And then it led to, of course, cybersecurity. But that was my initial start in security. It was as a pastime. And then one day my now husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, said, maybe I need to look at going into security or computers or something. And I finally did. And so once I started going more into depth in security, I realized that my true passion in security became with malware analysis and malware research. So that's what I really enjoy doing in my spare time. And that's how my journey in security was actually by accident. It was more of a hobby pastime. I thought it was fun, getting in Linux, and I love Tux. So I just had to give Tux. I love Tux. So that it was accidental really. And did not know that it was security then. But now, since, as we all know, cybersecurity has evolved over the years. It was initially information security. Then people say cybersecurity. So with all those components in, I was building. At that time, I had a foundation, and I was building myself from the technical discipline and with programming, and then Linux, and doing the OpenSSL and encryption in Linux, and then that actually led my path into security. Even though it was a pastime, it actually helped to build myself and my skills.
That's excellent. We have 4 folks here with completely different paths into security. I did not plan that. I stalked you a little bit on LinkedIn, but would not have had any of that context. But like that's fantastic. 4 amazing stories. Like that's absolutely great. So like, what's my next question was going to be like, what do you find most interesting about security? We've covered a little bit of that, so I want to get into like the good thing. Like, my other question is like brag time. Like you've all had such diverse experiences and like have come into this from different places. Like, what kind of projects have you been most proud of? Like, what kinds of things have you done that you've just been like, you know what, this is amazing, and like I am so happy that I have accomplished this kind of achievement in my career? Because I love to hear those stories. I like to hear like what folks are most proud of that they've worked on, and what they can shine a spotlight on for what they've done.
I'll start. First I'll start by saying is like the most amazing thing to me about security is it's so vast.
Oh gosh,
it is so vast. There are so many different areas, as we've heard today, that you can be in and still be a part of the security field. But my very best memory, or the thing that I'm most proud of, I mean, it was years ago, was when I first started. I mentioned it a little bit earlier when I was at the Battle Simulation Center, and I had to take a facility that had absolutely no accreditation, wire everywhere. So I'm probably kind of aging myself. There's Cat5 running everywhere. At the time I got there, the server room, you know, it was like the code was 123 pound to get in. You know, all of the logins were like admin, password, 1, 2, 3, 4, bang. There was nothing, you know, and then having to take this facility that they're saying, hey, if you guys don't have this within a year, then we're going to have to look at what it is you do. You're not going to be able to link into the greater Army network. You know, you're going to just be on-prem, right? So I had to take that nothingness and create something. And so it pushed me, one, because I didn't know what I didn't know. And my personality is very much do it afraid. Like, I don't know, I'll do it. What could go wrong? It's just my personality. So, but in doing that, not only did I learn like a lot of security pieces and about IA controls, there were folks at that huge facility that I would pass on a daily basis. I didn't have any relationship with. But during that process, we started to build relationships, and through us creating or obtaining an authority to operate, at the time it was like a MAC 2 secret level, that facility became the standard for the rest of the battle simulation centers throughout the Department of Defense. And so that is like my shining star that I always, when I have those days where I'm like, oh no, it's like, no, remember you didn't know before, and boom, this happened. And so that's like my moment of, yeah, pop my collar.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Pop your collar, flip the hair, all of it, 100%.
Yeah, so yeah.
Definitely. That's such an interesting opportunity too, right? To have that kind of like bare bones, maybe not greenfield, but like to then just build everything back up and go through all the points on the checklist. That's awesome. 100%. Yeah. Sarah, what about you?
All right. So first of all, share just a little bit more about, you know, the things we like to do about our job, because I talked about the technical side of things. Yeah. And one of the other things that I really enjoy that I've had to do like multiple times throughout my career is, you know, having been in this field for, 15 years now, the culture of security and the way people relate to security has changed a lot. Yeah. In terms of how security professionals communicate with non-security people, and also how developers and engineers have to deal with security and relate to security. And so, especially in security architecture, where I'm helping people design secure solutions, explain to them why they have to do something, so many times I've encountered someone who's just used to being told no, where, it's just like, well, you just can't do it. But having that conversation with the goal of having them leave understanding and feeling empowered about what they can do instead, or why it's important, and leave with that like sense of purpose of why you shouldn't, save clear text passwords on your system or something like that. I've had to have those conversations before, but explaining why and giving them that sense of purpose of why they need to do something that might be a little harder just has always left me feeling, really rewarded. To talk about, some work that I've done that I just take a lot of pride in, there's like two pieces. The first one is in my previous role. I was the delivery leader for security for all of our public and private cloud platforms at a Fortune 50 company. And so I had to build the whole program, come up with what our requirements set were. We used the NIST Cybersecurity Framework as our foundation. And I had to work with the delivery engineering teams, the product teams, the security organization, the cloud engineering team, and get buy-in on all that. And that was just a huge undertaking. And I'm really proud of where we got that organization to. And it was really fun to see the NIST Cybersecurity Framework actually work and apply within an organization. And to kind of follow on to that, something that I'm going to remember just with, a lot of personal pride is actually something that I did last fall, relatedly. I helped a small client adopt and build a security program from the ground up. They were a startup. They hadn't been in existence too terribly long. And, when you're in that moving fast, establishing your business position, you usually don't slow down to make sure that you're sweeping in all the corners and making sure the doors on, your doors are locked and stuff like that. And so I came in and helped them evaluate against the NIST Cybersecurity Framework. What was their current posture? What did that mean for where they wanted to get to, what their security goals were? And over the course of, just a couple months, helped them build a security program and left them with a multi-year roadmap on how to deliver on it. And it was just really cool to see that. And I think that they felt confident about where they were going to go from there. And it's just really fun to help people like that, to give them that sense of confidence to go from, not having much to, having a plan and knowing what to do. I find that so rewarding.
Yeah, for something like security, it's so nice to have that kind of guidance and that kind of trusted partner to take you, because like we've said, there's so many aspects of security to have to deal with, and to then you don't know what you don't know. So being that trusted advisor is so important. So, yeah, definitely. That's awesome. Thank you. Neha, how about you?
Yeah, so for me, I think something that I'm pretty proud of is I'm currently leading a project to migrate our secrets, all of PagerDuty's secrets, from one platform to another platform. So it's a big secrets migration, I guess. And so I guess I'm just proud of being able to lead such a large scale project in general. But I think one of my most favorite parts one of my most favorite little sub projects that I worked on within the project was building an internal tool that would automatically migrate a team's secrets from our current platform to our new platform. So this would help simplify the engineering team's work. So they just have to log into my tool and click a button, and then their secrets get migrated. And also avoid all the copy and pasting and accidental leakage of secrets. But yeah, so I especially loved working on this because I got to build a web app from scratch, which kind of took me back to my bootcamp days. That's what I learned in the bootcamp. And I also got to work on the front end, which was really, really cool because ever since I've been here, I've been telling my manager that, if there's any front end work, I'd love to do it. But yeah, so this was the first time that I got to kind of dip my toes into that. And I got to think about the user experience and think about the UI and make it look pretty and be easy to use. So that was super fun. And I learned a lot when I was doing that. And yeah, and so now once the migration once the migration starts, I guess I can, I'll be able to watch as teams use my tool and see, the time I've saved for engineering. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's super cool. Absolutely. Everything going on at PagerDuty, like there's all these moving parts, and yeah, it's kind of crazy out there. So thanks. Tanisha, what do you have that you're super proud of?
In my role, I'm currently as a senior QA engineer at Elastic, work for Elastic Security. One of the things I can just say I'm currently proud of, and this is more of a human factor, I'm currently proud of working for an enormous great team and actually being there and to be able to identify anything in our products to where it could help us to help provide the functionalities for our customers. So that's what I can say actually that I'm proud of to do. And as far as something personal that I'm very proud of, a personal project that I'm proud of, one of the personal projects that I'm very proud of that I've actually been working on, it's not released public yet, so don't GitHub me, you guys. So just to let you know, not released yet, but it's a personal project that I'm building to where I want to analyze, and do some threat investigation and malware research in what we call. Have anyone heard of Qubes OS? That is one of the operating systems that it was actually by the people who have the Tor project. So they
okay.
It's Qubes OS, Qubes OS. So I'm actually working with malware research into that and to see how it can actually translate. How can that translate? And if we can actually evaluate that on VMs, if we can build VMs from there and analyze malware and any APTs in that. So that's actually what I'm working on currently, and that I feel like I'm most proud of. That's my personal project. So if I decide to release it, then it will be on CyberSec Divas GitHub page. So, but that's one of the things that I can say I'm proud of that I'm working on. But I mean, with my role, I'm just proud of working with a great team and everything that we do on a daily basis to actually help benefit our customers and our user base. That is when it. So I don't feel like I want to take credit for that as well, even though I could flex. But I feel like just having a cohesive team and being able to work and that actually build our product and to help build for our users. To help better serve our users. That's what I can say I'm most proud of, and it's because I'm working for a company like Elastic.
Awesome. That sounds great. Like I had never heard of Qubes, but I'm fast on the Google. So I put it in the chat if you're joining us on Twitch there to check that out. And we'll have to, make sure we get those GitHub stars for Tanisha when her stuff is ready to go out. So let's get into some other security stuff. So like Tanisha, you mentioned malware, and that's an interesting a place you're interested in. So like with that, are there things that you're seeing in the security landscape? It's always in the news. There's always something crazy going on, whether it's log for whatever or what's this week, Dirty Pipe. You forget what they even are until they get their own logos now, and all these the exploits and things are kind of crazy. So with the you're all focusing on sort of different areas of security, but like what do you see across the landscape of things that are like most top of mind, or that you're thinking about prepping for in the near future, or the challenges that are coming up? Sarah, do you have one? You're off mute, so I'll pick on you.
Oh, sure. I'm happy to chat about it. So in terms of malware, what I hear about as concern that's top of mind pretty often is ransomware. Just to kind of call that out. And, aside from avoiding ransomware to begin with, it really puts people's disaster recovery and data security plans under fire, like in terms of, first stopping it, but secondarily recovering so that it's not absolutely devastating. And I find that really interesting because I don't think it's a space that people have invested in as a priority historically. Like some organizations absolutely do, but, it's not everyone's top priority. And so it's interesting to see the shift over the past couple of years of ransomware and how prevalent it is, just kind of challenge those decisions that people have chosen to make and see how people are adjusting. One other that I'll mention is you know, it's not as cool or exciting or interesting as malware, but just, you know, misconfigurations and incidental, you know, exposures is such a problem. And, you know, so I've working in cloud now, particular, it is a very common problem that people wrestle with is, you know, everyone is working in the cloud. How do you prevent those types of exposures? I mean, when you look at cloud breaches over the past number of years, how many of them have some root cause and just, you know, an S3 bucket that was open, or, you know, something where it was just an access or a permissions issue. And I mean, it's enough of a problem that OWASP added it to their top 10. You know, that insecure design component has never been on there before. It's always been a much more tangible, you know, very specific vector. But this problem, especially as it's more about, you know, what levers you pull and what configuration you use, it's so prone to human error unless you know, put controls in place, leverage a good pipeline, you know, can evaluate your configurations well. So that's, you know, a really tough problem.
Yeah, it definitely is. That was like, was the Experian one was like bad configuration on their Apache layer somewhere. They had something that was left default, and like it would have taken you 5 minutes to fix it at the beginning, and we get to the point where like we don't find it until much later. So yeah, there's a lot of moving parts to deal with, and yeah, configurations.
Yeah, it's not as sexy as malware, but it is very much a problem.
But you got to brush your teeth, like you got to do the basic hygiene stuff, right? So
yeah, and to add to what you said, Mandi, and what you said, Sarah, is to me that is like one of the bigger threats. It's like everything is moving so fast, and especially when it comes to moving to the cloud. And there are a lot of basics that are just totally, I don't want to say forgotten, but they're just some basic things that are overlooked because things are moving so fast. And to me, that is like a huge threat. And, you know, before we start talking about all the other sexier threats, because it's almost like we're looking over there, you know, we're putting the horse before the cart, or, you know, what you had just said, Mandi, you have to brush your teeth. Like before, you know, you wouldn't have to be at the dentist getting a root canal. You would have just taken care of these things. And so that is huge. And we're starting to see so much more of that. And I think that that's unfortunately going to be a lot of what we see in the future, unless we get back to the basics. Like, I don't know, and I don't have an answer or like why this is even happening, other than everybody is in such a hurry to get somewhere, to do something, to accomplish so many things, and then they're leaving things misconfigured, or to default, leaving all kind of doors open. So that I think that is huge.
Priscilla, I think you really hit it there with getting back to those basics, because if you think about in particular how things have changed in the past, 5 to 10 years, and how cloud and, using and adopting cloud, it's different than it was 10 years ago. And so, we had like 10 to 20 years of foundation of how we thought networks and data centers worked and how to secure those. And those basics don't change, but how you do them does, and who's responsible for them. And that's something that, if you've been doing something for 10 years and then there's this whole new different shift in how it's done, it can be tough to learn and, find all those teeth in your mouth to brush, if you to kind of try to use that metaphor. But it's hard. I have a lot of empathy for those people that are trying to do that and just don't know. It's, not knowing what you don't know.
Well, I want to say too, with all the threats that you're going to always have threats and evolving and new attack mechanisms all the time. It's hard to keep track because every time, even daily, weekly, you'll see a lot of attack vectors that come out, and because attackers are getting more and more sophisticated, so it's hard to keep track of everything. Every time you turn around, you're going to see something. Even even something that you have to analyze, and one of those ones like pay span or anything like that. So I believe right now for me, I see like the attacks that the threats that we're going to see currently now and even in the future. One of the common things I see that we have is social engineering. Social engineering is a threat that actually can lead into phishing, because I mean phishing is one of the biggest ones too. So I believe social engineering is one that is something that we need to actually come back, and we need, because social engineering affects everything. It affects, even from phishing to espionage. All of that affects with social engineering. So while it's not as nice and exciting as everything else, but social engineering is one of our biggest cyber threats. Of course, it's not ransomware. Of course, it's not analyzing all these other vulnerabilities that's coming out. That's exciting by these espionage campaigns, but at least that's one of the things that we can see. We see that in organizations and with user base is with social engineering, and then that stems from other attacks that come from that.
Yeah, and they're persistent. Like I know that my CEO is not going to send me an email or text message asking me to buy her Google Play gift cards at the local grocery store as an emergency, and then send her those. But they just keep coming and coming and coming. Like there's enough response out there that's at some point a successful vector that we just keep getting bugged about them. And I'm like, okay. So yeah.
Yeah, our team gets a lot of phishing reports from our employees, but I think just education in general will definitely help that, because I mean we and also like not shaming the employees if they do happen to fall for phishing. We are just here to fix the problem, not to blame them. But yeah, I think having a good education culture in the company will definitely help with that. Another thing that our team has been thinking about has been supply chain security. So just just knowing what third-party libraries we're using, what open source components we're using, what dependencies we have, what packages are running, and then like what vulnerabilities are in all those things. Having good insight into all of that, and being able to address vulnerabilities and know where exactly what the vulnerable components of our product are. That's definitely something that we should be looking into, and yeah, definitely a big threat.
Yeah, that's an interesting one too, because there's work going on to sort of standardize that sort of software bill of materials. There's been a lot of press around that in the last couple of years. Some like top line attacks and things come in that way. And then for different kinds of environments, like the requirements are a little bit different. It's like in Node, like your clients are pulling all that stuff down, but in other places, like it's all in the back end. And how are folks like approaching all of that kind of thing? It sounds like it's maybe a partnership with, like there's probably legal contractions to put together for those and those kinds of things. I don't know if any of you have worked on that stuff yet. Nope. Awesome. All right, cool. That's future work to be done, right? Because like we know there's a couple of competing standards that are coming out we're watching too, just because who knows what's going to happen there and what folks are going to want to know. So yeah, what other kinds of stuff are you excited about now? Like what kinds of things are you looking forward to in working on, or things that you're looking to learn about coming up in security?
One of the things that I'm actually I'm actually taking a course to learn about more so is malware reverse engineering. Get into more of it to where it gets from beginning to the more advanced topics of malware reverse engineering, because I believe that if we know how it is built and how it's designed, then we can analyze that behavior, and we can go to the core of it. And so that is one of the things that I'm very excited about right now, is to learn more the advanced techniques of reverse engineering of malware. So
now let me ask you. So like a million years ago, there was this like, I don't know if it was much of a trend, but I had a couple of friends in security, and they would keep like malware zoos, right? Like you'd have like some weirdo would show up to your meetup with a floppy disk of like goofy stuff on it that he's analyzing or whatever. Like, do you have a malware zoo? Would you like a malware zoo? Is that?
I don't get people to ask me that because I have my own sandbox that I actually look at stuff and environments.
Awesome.
No, I have what I do is what I have is what I call my attack laptop, where I call my pen test and attack, my junk laptop, and that's where I use to analyze any malware samples. And even when I've actually have done that, a lot, to where I'll create, something and see, hey, if especially with Yara Rules. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Yara Rules here on the panel about Yara Rules. So like if you actually if you're creating Yara Rule and then you're like saying, hey, is this gonna work? Is this gonna work? Is this gonna be like malware? I'm sorry, you guys, I get excited about this. Sorry, ladies, I get really excited about this. So one of the things I do is like I'll take a malware sample and I'll say, hey, let me analyze this. Let me take this apart. What is the Yara Rule on this? And hey, how can I actually take this apart and create my own malware? Maybe I can create my own malware. And hey, and don't nobody come knocking on my door saying I'm doing something wrong. So this is just a practice thing, curiosity thing, ladies. So, but yeah, that's one of the things that I do, and that's my way of doing it. But there's a lot of samples that you can do, and there's a lot of different tools that can where you can analyze these in a sandbox environment. But I have my own, and I have my own ways of doing it.
No, it's super interesting. I hadn't heard of that before. It's Yara, Yara. So I put a link in the chat for the folks joining us on Twitch. I had never seen that before. That's
Yara.
Yeah, awesome. That sounds super interesting. Sarah, what about you? What are you looking forward to or working on and for the future?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'm working on. First, I just want to say I love Tanisha's enthusiasm. I think your excitement over that is like totally infectious.
Well, thank you, Sarah. You're very lovely. All you ladies are just very awesome. I'm so happy to be on this panel with you all. We have to do this again, and we have to get together again and do this. I will do a panel with you all anytime.
I'm down for that. Absolutely.
So what I'm working on right now is I've really wanted to get more hands-on with automation for solving security problems, and that rabbit hole goes very deep. So like and part of it has been uplifting my Python skills. And I think I've been on 3 different clients in the past year and a half that have been almost entirely Python development, which has just been like a really awesome opportunity to see through some automation of some challenges our clients have had. And what I'd love to get to, and something that I've just wanted for years, is to get to a point of actually automating resolution and remediation of like those misconfigurations that we were talking about earlier, like make it so that they don't have to think about brushing their teeth, and automated remediation is incredibly difficult.
Yes.
It's just kind of fraught with false positives and, potential challenges for people's environments. But I just find it so interesting. And with as fast, there's you're finding those flaws to the left in your pipeline, but then there's what do you do when it makes it through that pipeline anyway? And those are like the 2 sides of the coin of, I think, solving a lot of those problems. And it's kind of like putting that Band-Aid on while you go and you solve that root cause problem through pipeline changes. But that automation of problems that you already have, I just find so interesting. And so that's what I'm hoping to do more with and kind of build my skills with more.
Yeah, that's awesome. And there's so much opportunity there as we watch larger organizations sort of struggle with their workflows to get patches out, to get repairs out for things as they come through, and the time it can take to remediate an entire fleet is just can be immense. Absolutely. That's super interesting. Priscilla, what are you working on?
So many things. So in terms of my current role, one of the things that I'm working on that I is super important to me is internal customer enablement. And what I mean by that is my team touches every other team within GitHub. We touch product, we touch the solutions engineers, the revenue team, we touch the customer success managers and architects. So I'm currently working with other teams for enablement because I'm very much a let me show you how to catch this fish type of a person. And also that helps everyone to be aware of what the security posture is here at GitHub. Like it helps everyone to be aware of when, okay, hey, we're seeing these particular threats. If this comes up, this is what you can and cannot say to the customer. So we're working through like an enablement program, but in terms of upskilling for me, because I'm always looking for the next, like, how do I grow? I am so interested and scared all at the same time of learning how to program. So next quarter, I'm starting a Python course because I am very interested in application security. And even though it is scary to me because I took, I'm gonna age myself again, a C++ class few years ago.
Yeah.
Few years ago. And I just was not, it was like, I don't know. I'm going to try it again. So it's scary, but I'm going to do it because I want to continue to grow. And I think that like, in order to continue to be relevant, really in any field, you have to continue to grow and upskill. And in order to one, know what you're talking about, especially in the role that I'm in, I'm customer facing. Yeah. So I cannot, like, a pet peeve of mine is like when a customer asks me a question and I'm just like, I'm sweating, I'm hot, I'm like, so now I have to go find out and research it. And so I'm learning that a lot of the questions, okay, well, it's on the backside of security. You don't know because you need to know exactly, how it works, how it was built, all these things. So that's my next personal challenge to myself is to upskill, learn programming, dive into application security.
That sounds great too. You're going to be great at it. Awesome. Neha, what are you doing on the board?
Actually, yeah, I was going to say, Priscilla, I had a similar experience to your C++ course. I think it was a different programming language, but I had a required course in college to take, just one, and it was I did not like it at all. And so when I was looking at these coding boot camps, I was thinking about that experience and wondering if I would really like this or not. But it could, like, my boot camp completely turned around my experience and my relationship with development and coding. So yeah, hopefully that works for you as well. But yeah, so I'm working on a lot of secrets management stuff, but I'm also looking forward to, like I mentioned, the supply chain security. So that's something that's upcoming on our roadmap. So I'm looking forward to learning more about that and working on that stuff. And I'm also, like, it's not like planned work on our roadmap or anything, but I would like to find a way to, because we have like a limited number of product security team members, and we have a lot of engineering teams that are constantly building new features and they want to get them pushed out. And so we basically and we don't want to be a roadblock to them, but we also want to make sure that the features they're building are secure. So it would be amazing to have some kind of self-service risk assessment tool to have the engineering teams, to empower the engineering teams to figure out what, if any, the security gaps are in their features and how to address them. Just like, obviously it wouldn't replace our team, but our team's involvement, but like as a stepping, or as like a way into dealing with all of that. And so I know that I read about Slack. Slack has open sourced a tool, some kind of like that, a while ago. So yeah, something like that. If we could build off of that or build something like that, that would be really cool for PagerDuty to have.
Yeah, that sounds super interesting too. I'm interested in all of these. This is great, 100%. So excellent. So we're getting towards the top of the hour. So just in closing, are there things that you would like folks to know if they're thinking about getting into security or aren't sure about any of this, is like that they could do these jobs? You've come from such a vast variety of backgrounds. Like so this has been so awesome. But like, are there things that you see that have helped you the most, or things that you would recommend folks take a look at if they're thinking about getting into any of these kinds of positions? We talked a little bit about programming, a little bit about cloud, but also like a lot about working with other people. There's like a lot of collaboration and things like that. Is there anything else you'd tell folks that are thinking about maybe looking into security or taking those kinds of jobs?
Okay, well, I'll go first. The first thing I would tell anyone is, especially someone's just starting in security, the first thing I would say is that just know that you're going to always be learning. You're going to always be learning. And security is not monolithic. Security has a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
The problem is with when people think cybersecurity, the first thing comes up, oh, there's going to be somebody in a hoodie. We're going to do this hacking stuff.
Rollerblades, techno music. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, and that's not the case. And you can be in cybersecurity and still make an impact by there's risk compliance. There's security compliance. We know this, of course, being on this panel. But I would advise anyone to just know that you're going to always be learning a new topic, and select your area of interest. And you don't have to be a jack of all trades, but select an area of interest and your focus, and you focus on that, and you be the best that you can be at that. And of course, you're going to make mistakes, but that doesn't mean that you're going to fail. Failure equals success later. So I just tell anybody just to actually stay focused and stay positive, and that you will learn something new every day, and just never give up. That's what I would tell anybody. That and no one was born knowing this. I mean, no matter how many so-called gurus we have that claim that they're gurus now, I mean, no one is a security rock star. I mean, we all have knowledge, and we all are evolving. Even some of the 10 to 15-year veterans or people who have been there more, we're all evolving. So we need to make it an open space and a welcoming space for everyone. And just remember, everyone has something, no matter if you're a novice or you're tenured. Even a novice somebody entry level can actually teach somebody who's a tenured engineer like me something. So just stay focused, stay determined, and never give up on your dream.
Awesome. So inspiring. Thank you.
Tanisha took everything that I was going to say. So
not at all, ma'am.
Well, Priscilla, you can add to that. I already know that you're going to do well. And
she took everything I was going to. But so if someone is looking at coming into the cybersecurity field, I would say do it. Just do it. Like, what do you have to lose, right? We instantly think about the technical skills, right? And technical skills are huge. Being able to problem solve is huge. Being able to think about things from multiple different vectors is huge. But I would say if you look at everyone that's on this panel, our pathways into security are very different, right? So one, don't pigeonhole yourself and think that you have to come in a certain factor or with certain way, because you don't. I mean, there's a lot of different roles within security. The next thing is, don't discount your soft skills. Do not. You would be surprised at how important those soft skills are. When I first started out, I was coming out of the Army, and then I was Department of the Army. I was like, I don't really do people. I'm going to sit over here. I'm going to look at this architecture, and it's just, it's just this way. But now that I'm older and wiser, I realize that soft skills matter. Being able to collaborate with people matter. So don't discount the skills that you already have, because as Tanisha said, you're always going to be learning. You can pick up the technical pieces. And guess what? The threats that you were so familiar with 2 months ago, they'll be different tomorrow anyway. So that information that will come to you. But if you're looking to jump into security, do it. Like, what do you really have to lose? It's an experience, and it's so vast. There's so many places you can go.
I'll follow up on that. And so I'm mentoring a couple of young women who are working on that transition right now. And I'll share what I've been kind of pointing them in the direction of. Both of them are, coming from completely non-technical fields. And what I've, been pointing them to is like pick up a certification or two that gives you some foundations in that security area. So you can learn what interests you, what sounds interesting and exciting from that. And then, like Tanisha has her sandbox, right? Go and, in your free time, work on some hands-on projects. If you don't have the experience on your resume, a great way to account for that is to, show that you have, touched these tools before and built something yourself. And it can be hard, just like picking up coding for the first time or, standing up something in AWS for the first time when you've never done it before. It can be hard and, it can be discouraging. But like, everyone on this panel has said, it's about keeping pushing and keeping trying and, keeping yourself going when you get discouraged if like that code doesn't work the first time or the second time or, sometimes the third time. But, keep pushing, and because that's how you learn. And it can be challenging, but it's a great field to be in. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Neha, any closing thoughts for us?
Yeah, I completely agree with everything these ladies have been saying. As a relative novice in the field of security, I'm going to take all this advice for myself. I would just tell anyone that, we all came from such different backgrounds, and like personally on my team, we have security engineers from so many, like from fashion, from teaching, from medicine, from support, from math, like so many different backgrounds, but we're all here and we're all able to, we're all good engineers. And I think that like everything I learned about security, I learned on the job because my team was so amazing and so caring and empathetic, and they were able to teach me and without me feeling bad, like I was able to ask any question I needed to them. So I think that surrounding yourself with those kinds of people is really, really helpful, especially when you're just breaking into the field. Finding people like that who create a safe environment where you can learn is super important.
Yeah, that's excellent. Ladies, thank you so much. This has been so inspiring. I am just absolutely thrilled you were all able to join us today for this panel. So thank you.
Awesome, ladies. You all were amazing, and I'm glad that we got a chance to do this. And hey, I mean that we can do a panel anytime, ladies. This is my crew now.
We might have to make this a quarterly reunion event, or something like that. We could do that. We got plenty of time on the channel. Absolutely, that would be
absolutely.
Awesome, ladies. All right. Thank you again for everyone out there who joined us, everyone who's in Tanisha's fan club, and all the folks who chatted out for Elastic. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for joining us in the chat. If you are watching this recording, make sure you and subscribe to our channels. We would love to hear more from you. In the meantime, we will wish you an uneventful day. So thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you never miss a stream. Follow us at PD Community and PagerDuty on twitch.tv. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you'd like to be on our stream, email us at community-team@pagerduty.com so we can feature the cool things you're doing. And don't forget, check out all of our global events on our calendar at pagerduty.com/events.